Hello, so I'm here today with our Managing Director, Peter Rabenseifner, and we're here to talk about the new coalition for better ads, which Google has supported recently, which is affecting all of our publishers and advertisers. So tell us a little bit more.
Hello guys, so first of all I would want to point out that we're actually happy with the changes that are happening. I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. We see it really the other way around, and we think it was about time for the industry to become much more mature. So we've seen during the past years already a rising number of users that have been using ad blockers, which already hurt our industry, and it became more and more, and now I think it was time to make a cut and to make our advertising much more cleaner, because obviously users were annoyed by it, and in the end it's the users that we need for to generate revenues for all of us.
How is Google going to implement these standards?
What Google is doing basically is they're able to really block all of your site advertisements if you do not comply with the guidelines they set. On top of this, they have the ability in Chrome 64 to block sites from opening new windows or tabs as well. So it's pretty serious, and like publishers can face major losses when they do not comply with those rules in time.
Of course. So what advice would you give our advertisers and publishers?
How we at TrafficStars try our best to help our clients is that first of all, the publishers, we advise them to go to our compliance flagging system, where they really can set exactly the rules that Google set for us, basically already. We also have a tutorial for that, which exactly explains a publisher on how to comply with those rules and which boxes he has to tick on, basically, to follow entirely Google's guidelines. At the same time, our advertising account manager team, as well as our support, is really on it with every single client that we have to educate them on how to follow these guidelines on their creatives and on their advertising.
And what advice would you give to advertisers who are worried about click-through rates reducing or their ability to spend reducing?
I think what is pretty interesting, what we've seen throughout the last days and weeks, is that in the beginning we took a pretty big hit in our CTRs and in our eCPMs, obviously, as well, due to that. But we can already see, since we enforce the same rules for everyone in our platform, and everyone has to stick to the same kind of creatives now, that all these numbers are recovering. So we already see almost the same CTRs that we have seen a month ago when these rules were not in place.
So what solutions are there for advertisers to adapt to these changes?
It's not only that we want to educate the advertisers how to adapt to these changes. I think we communicated that pretty well, so they will find also a guide, for example, where they see exactly what is accepted now and what is not, and how they have to change their creatives. But it's not only the educational part that is important for us. We also want to provide them with alternatives to the classic banner advertising that we have seen for so many years.
So what alternatives do we have?
So we have a few alternatives that we came up with recently. So I think the biggest and most important is native advertising for us. So we developed a really good widget for that, a really good technology that is really state of the art, I would say. And we see very good success with it already. We have it in place on many publishers right now, so it's time to start testing. And it fully complies with all the guidelines set by Google, so there's no threat whatsoever to be flagged by this.
And it's a perfect alternative because it fits in perfectly with the style, the tone, the voice of the website. So what else have we got coming up in the future? Because we've got a few more alternatives that we're working on.
Yeah. I think the best way to follow these changes is to actually see what is Google doing themselves. So when we see what happens on YouTube, for example, we see video ads all over the place, and this is a movement that we're following now as well. And I think that our whole industry will need to follow and will follow now. So we actually launched video advertising, pre-roll video ads from the beginning of February onwards. And we're really excited about that, and we already heard from our biggest partners that the first tests were positive and give them actually a similar ROI than what they had on pop-under advertising.
Brilliant, brilliant. And what else we've got? We've got more coming soon as well.
We've coming more coming soon. We can quickly talk about it. So it's another ad format that we come up with is post-digital ads. So post-digital ads are basically full page ads that load in between two pages. So whenever the user clicks on a video, for example, before he gets redirected to the new page, we will show a full page ad. And also that should be a really good ad format for to generate higher revenues and to compensate losses that you might see coming from pop-unders.
Brilliant. What are your predictions for the future? So what's going to happen now as a result of the changes in the industry?
Yeah, as I said before, I think the changes will not affect so much our prices, because I think we saw things recovering already, and on top of that, I think the users are still out there. The users who are willing to buy digital content are still the same, are still out there. It's just another approach of converting them into a sale, basically.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and
You're
keep
welcome.
an eye out for more interviews coming soon with our head of publishing, Anna, and many more as well. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.